Remember to tip the Wookiee bartenders 20%, no droids, no bounty hunters, no Raylos, no or nobodies, none of that of any kind. We are here for the love of Star Wars and for the love of Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and the original true fans of franchise Ghostbusters with the original cast. Of all those, the only people doing it right are the Reitmans. But anyway, we've talked about that. Anyway, so Doomcock posts a new video about Kennedy's contract. And WDW Pro, and I didn't waste my time going over to read his stuff because I can't, the rumor stuff is starting to get to me to the point where I don't really care anymore. Because I don't, you kind of go, you don't know what to believe. And you also don't really want to be manipulated either. And that's just kind of how I feel about it now. Anyway, there's a story about time travel and that we meet young Indy and old Indy and then they both die. Pretty sure if you kill young Indy, there won't be an Indiana Jones, period. Okay, so that in of itself makes me go, the person who pulled this out of their ass really didn't think it over too well. Okay. Also, time travel, you got to think of paradoxes. All right, what can of worms are y'all opening up by doing that? Okay. And when Mangold said none of it's true, and I'm sure he read the Daily Mail article, I love you, Valiant Renegade, but Mangold has a right to be upset, okay? He's under a ton of pressure. He doesn't deserve to get shit from internet trolls. And it's not brave and stunning to go on Twitter and harass a film director, all right? I'm married to a Bronze Star recipient. My father was a medal recipient during World War II. My uncle received the Purple Heart for action at Bastogne, all right? I have known Silver Star recipients from that fought in Iraq and Afghanistan, okay? Yeah, and met a few Medal of Honor recipients, okay? I know brave. What is brave is a cancer victim surviving and fighting back. It is not going on fucking Twitter and spewing a bunch of shit because you're a failed filmmaker and you want attention. Because that's exactly what happened. I know phony shit when I see it. Okay? Hey, John. And that's exactly what happened. And I don't blame Mangold at all for being upset. All right? Now we got this Daily Mail article kind of confirming at least the time travel stuff. Not the erasing of Indy, which what the fuck are you talking about? I mean, here's what you do. When you get someone who you have a contact, and they tell you this rumor, you gotta ask them, all right, this is so stupid, I can't even. Did you ask who you heard this from? Is there any veracity to this? Or are we gonna run with it today? And I'm not talking to Doomcock, I'm talking about the people out there who are telling people this on Reddit. They're telling WDW Pro this. You've got to put their feet to the fire, okay? You have to put their feet to the fire. Look, I worked on Capitol Hill, okay? I've seen reporters put words in my boss's mouth, okay? All right, and my boss, called all kinds of names, including fascist, and it's like, he's a libertarian. What the hell are you doing? I mean, by people who wouldn't know a fascist if Mussolini himself came up and bit him in the ass. Okay? You have to hold these people who are telling you this accountable. There are tons of things out there right now about the Indy 5 project. I wouldn't even I'd be embarrassed to say I posted it. All right? Now, there is also a reason, maybe, that the Disney company heard this. And I'm going to say this. If it came out in the Daily Mail, Chapek saw the dailies and went, that might be all it needed. Okay, the rest of the stuff is just because it's Kennedy, because it's Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and I gotta say, you know what? When you've got people that are that toxic, okay, that their names alone drive fans away and piss them off, you have to hide them. You cannot, you can't have these people be anywhere near your project, okay? Now, I know I have friends who know Phoebe Waller-Bridge. She's a very nice girl. But I don't like her, okay? I don't like her politics. I don't like her attitude. I don't like her feminazi bullshit, okay? I just don't. I don't like her snotty, upper class, landed gentry, British public school girl bullshit shtick that she puts on. I don't like it. That rubs me the wrong way because but there's a certain type of person out there. Look at the royal family. Look at Prince William saying stupid shit. Look at Charles saying stupid shit. Look at fucking Harry saying stupid shit about free speech. I can't believe they say stuff like that here. There's a reason why America said, there's the door, get your snotty ass out of here. Because we weren't going to be told by people who don't understand how real life works for normal people what to do. And we've got them still sniping at us because they can't handle hearing another opinion. That's the problem. That's why people don't like Phoebe Waller-Bridge. All right? She's a leftist feminazi because it's convenient to her. And just the look on her face makes me think she thinks she's better than everybody else. Let me put it in a different way. If you put Phoebe Waller-Bridge and Daisy Ridley together, they're both, I know Daisy Ridley is landed gentry. She's basically the Duchess of Bullshit, okay? And the Duchess of Horseshit is Phoebe Waller-Bridge. You put them together, as far as actors go, and you get Meryl Streep, and then you get, Meg Ryan in her heyday, and, others, American actresses, Sigourney Weaver, and it's like they can't compete because American actresses and actors back in the day could reach out and actually make their characters be relatable. Okay, there wasn't any of this feminazi shit. Okay, it just wasn't there. And I really, when I heard that they hired her, I'm like, oh, this is, hey, Rod Thunderheart, or Rod Thunderheart. How's that one? I think I like that one. How you doing, man? Putting somebody like Phoebe Waller-Bridge in this movie was a bad idea. A horrible idea. Because of the bullshit she carries with her. She doesn't have to say anything. She can play a very normal, nice girl, and she's still Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Just like Kennedy can still be producing this movie. Maybe it doesn't have anything to do with, I'll answer that in a second. Maybe it doesn't have anything to do with writing the script. She's just there writing checks, and her husband, Frank, is doing all the work. It doesn't matter. It's still Kathleen Kennedy. This is the problem. This is the problem Bob Chapek has probably known about for months. It was very apparent when she got ratioed into the next dimension on the Oscars channel. She is poison. Waller-Bridge is poison. Okay? They should not have. Kennedy, all right, fine. She should have been pushed up to executive producer and then kept away from all of this. Because, all right, you know how people say, well, she's executive producer. La, 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 la. Okay, let's go and take a look at Ghostbusters 2016. Who was an executive producer for that movie? Ivan Reitman, who had nothing good to say about it. He earned a good chunk of change, of course, but he didn't have anything good to say about it. Okay, see? He wasn't part of making the movie. It's just like Steven Spielberg walking away from directing it. And I don't think it had anything, and I know it's popular to think that it had something to do with, the script and blah. This script that they're working on, Mangold was writing it, okay? And I don't see him, yes, they are, Rod, you're right. I don't see them doing everything. I mean, look, I'll tell you something. Time travel is stupid enough, okay? That's stupid enough. Okay. To make me go, okay, we can't. This is, no. Indiana Jones should challenge your credulity, but not to the point you're going, oh, fucking A. You know, and I'm going to say this, Crystal Skull did not do that. Okay. There are people who didn't like it. My problem with Crystal Skull is Karen Allen showing up, because I'm not a Marion fan. And Shia LaBeouf. Okay. That whole sub plot was just, why? You know, there should always be something new going on. You know, and Karen Allen she didn't even phone it in. She was just whatever, okay? So, time travel would be enough to make me put the brakes on it. Everything else just sounds like fluff to piss the fans off. Hey, Patrick. Oh, everything's going great. That was a great comment you left on the other video, too, by the way. It's just fluff to piss the fans off. And it goes along with what people fear with Kennedy and Phoebe Waller-Bridge. All right. Again, yeah, well, I mean, it's just, it doesn't work. So my thing is, what they were doing probably didn't really meet the executives' expectations. And the fact that, you know, now there's a Doomcock reported a rumor that the outgoing Alan Horn, yeah, Thanos, outgoing Alan Horn was upset. You know, but I gotta say this, I don't see Harrison Ford putting up with it. For all we know, he was the one that went to the executives and said, because this is his movie. It is not Kennedy's movie. It is Harrison Ford's movie. Okay. This movie was part of his deal to come back to Star Wars. Okay. And it should have been made in 2016. Thank God it wasn't, because we might have actually had this shit going on. Okay. Because 2016 was right, starting at the height of the Me Too bullshit, and Wokistan was well on its way to growing in popularity in Hollywood. But it should have been made a long time ago. I mean, they were talking about it even long before even long before George sold Lucasfilm to Disney, okay? And Ford wanted to do it. And you know, what Harry wants, Harry should get. I mean, I don't have any, whatever. I mean, but here's the deals. Every time they got, all right, 2017, he gets a script because it's in an article. He was the reporter was there when he received it for Indy 5. Okay, a script for it. God knows what the script was, but he got this while they were talking at his house. You know, I think it was in GQ. That was. So there are multiple different storylines for this thing. Fast forward to The Rise of Skywalker. Do you remember the rumors that George actually helped and wrote part of The Rise of Skywalker? And that he actually, I've even heard he actually directed some of the scenes. And, you know, Matt Smith was, you know, I assume was playing the son of Mortis, which would have been perfect way to put everything together. Okay? And George was part of that. They put the assembly cut together. They take it to the execs. Kennedy just absolutely has a nervous breakdown. Orders all of the reshoots. They were reshooting up until weeks before the movie came out. The Rise of Skywalker. Who doesn't show up at the premiere? George Lucas, who's been to every damn premiere for Star Wars since he sold his company. He didn't show up for this. Then 2 months later in February, Steven Spielberg walks away from directing Indy 5. Everybody thinks, well, it has to do with the script and blah, blah, blah. That was last year. That wasn't this year. That was last year. Okay? That was in February 2020. Not this year. This is not a recent thing. Okay. He left because, in my opinion, from what I you know, the little indications, is because George got screwed over. For you guys who haven't ever been on my channel, George, and I've talked about this before, Kennedy's rise to prominence in Hollywood had more to do with the men she worked for. Not because she's, you know, this vaunted talent. She's not. She first started working for John Milius. And I'm going to tell you something in the background. In the late 60s, a bunch of USC film graduates followed Francis Ford Coppola around the Warner Brothers lot like little ducklings chasing a mother hen. Mallard. Okay. They were named Robert Zemeckis, George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, and John Milius. And I think Scorsese was part of that too. Okay. They were basically the acolytes of Francis Ford Coppola. Okay. And as they rose to prominence, Milius with one of my favorite movies of all time, The Wind and the Lion. If you have not seen The Wind and the Lion, you have to. The performance Brian Keith gives as Theodore Roosevelt is so good. I can't describe how good it is. It's probably the finest performance of an American president I have ever seen in my life. Okay? It is so true to who he was. It left me goosebumps. I mean, the night after we stupidly elected Obama the first time, my husband and I put the Blu-ray in, and I cried. I cried because there are leaders that we need, and Teddy Roosevelt was a great one. Okay, so John Milius, and then we had Spielberg with Jaws, and then Lucas with Star Wars. Steven Spielberg directed Close Encounters. There's a woman in San Diego running a talk show, a radio talk show, producing it, named Kathleen Kennedy. She goes to Close Encounters and she absolutely falls in love with the story and wants to work for the director. So what she does, she packs up her car, drives up to LA, parks at her, I think it was her friend's house, even though I think her twin sister was already there in production, because she has a twin sister who is also a movie producer. I just want you guys to, wrap your little minds on that one. And she gets introduced to John Milius. He hires her to be his secretary. And then she meets Steven Spielberg, who is impressed with the way, she organized Milius's life. And he hires her away. And there we go. That's Kennedy. If you look at her resume, she has never, ever been successful on her own. It has always been guys named Spielberg, Milius, Lucas, Zemeckis, Scorsese, Clint Eastwood, okay, etc., etc. All right. She's a phony. She is a phony. And I think people know it. I mean, she's not a glass ceiling breaker. I've talked about the women back in, right as the film industry began, over 100 years ago. A lady named Alice Guy Berchet, actually with her husband, came from France, bought a lot in Fort Lee, New Jersey, and started their own studio. She was running a studio in 1910. Okay? So, when you look at Kathleen Kennedy and hear the words glass ceiling, remember that history does not look kindly on that, because that is bullshit. Okay? We have others. There were so many people, women, who had their own production companies. Then we've got Lucille Ball. She ran Desilu. She was the person responsible for Star Trek and Mission Impossible. Okay. And then of course we have Sherry Lansing, Dawn Steele, and others. Okay. Kathleen Kennedy no more broke a glass ceiling for women than I have trap shooting. Okay? I mean, it's not special. She isn't unique. Okay? There are other women who came before her, decades before her, and did it. Better. Okay? So, what do I think of this? I think without, hey, Demanjai, I think without the crazy part of the rumors that Chapek was like, no, we're delaying this. And as Harvey on Doomcock said, they could have announced her contract extension and then delayed it and blamed it on IATSE. But they didn't, which is very interesting. Now, according to WDW Pro, her contract extension is sitting on Chapek's desk and he hasn't touched it. We got, all right, it's the 19th. Tomorrow will be the hard date. And then we have until the 31st. First off, I don't think there is a contract extension. All right? I don't think it ever got that far. Okay, but if they don't say anything. Okay? And again, she doesn't necessarily have to be president of Lucasfilm to produce Indy 5. All right? Now, there are circumstances like, well, who's going to take over, and I mean, one of the things that Valiant Renegade brought up from this, that video came out this morning, but he talked to Cameron last night. The Valiant Renegade came out with the Alex Kurtzman debacle, was that they couldn't find anybody else, which is always the excuse, to run that company. Which was the excuse last time Kennedy got her contract extended. Okay? And if as you notice, guys, she was the one to put it out there that this happened, not Disney in 2018. Disney was not, I mean, look, if you're Bob Iger, you suddenly have a come to Jesus moment. TLJ comes out and the fans are ready to, attack the windmill with you and Frank and Kathy inside and set it on fire. I mean, that's how pissed off people were. That's how pissed off I was. I went back and watched my reaction video when I got into the car after going to TLJ, and I cried. I was so angry. I was so fucking pissed off. It was just enraging. Okay? And it still is. So the rumor was that Iger literally was like, holy shit, they hated this. And he, like a moron, because he doesn't know anything about Star Wars, thought it was good, but then got a come to Jesus moment when he realized the fans were looking to dismantle Disney over this debacle. And then a Soy Wars story came out. First off, they hired the wrong actor to play Han. The script was a dumpster fire. The first two directors were no more worthy of directing a Star Wars movie than my dog, who's laying right here, is worthy of, doing brain surgery. I mean, Lord and Miller? Who in their right mind would hire those two dipsticks? Kennedy. And because she's such an, brilliant, creative woman. No, she's an airhead. She's a fucking airhead. Didn't watch the dailies, so it was 80% done filming, and then went, so they bring in poor Ron Howard, who comes in and tries to save it. The film ends up costing, I would say, $500 million to make. All right. It earned at the box office something like $300 million. That movie lost about $250 million. And not just because of people's backlash against TLJ. I've heard fanboys bitch about, we didn't want a Han Solo movie. Well, you might not have, but I wanted one. I wanted a good one. All right? I wanted an actor worthy of playing that role. I wanted something fun with heart and soul. And the first trailer shows up on Super Bowl Sunday, and I'm drinking wine and watching it. And we've got the Super Bowl on. And I walked in and I sat down and did a live video after, and I was laughing. It was horrible. It was awful. And of course, the movie has its supporters, like Pablo Hidalgo, like that weirdo from the Good Morning America interview with Dave Filoni, with the guy with the lizard monkey on his shoulder, with the weird eyes, bald, wearing the "Make Solo 2 Happen" T-shirt. Come on, what a fucking, you know, I imagined a guy with a Thorazine, with a dispenser of Thorazine in one hand and a straitjacket in the other, waiting to tackle this dude. That's how fucking nuts he was. And that Fletcher guy, he was the other guy who was attacking Mark and Harrison and Billy D for being old with Jason Ward last year when they opened, well, no, 2 years ago when they opened up Galaxy's Edge and they were there. And, you know, this guy's a bad dude. But of course, if you kiss enough asses, you get to go on Good Morning America and and pretend like you're important, like you represent the fans. Neither of those two represented any fandom. Okay. Well, but if you haven't seen it, that was the moment when Solo 2 crashed and burned, that Iger went, she doesn't know what the fuck she's doing. And it's like, really? Her antics during Rogue One's filming didn't clue you in? Really, Bob? Really? So, and for you guys, I don't know if you've heard this or not, but here's a story for you, and it's true. This happened. Okay. Grace Randolph reported this, and I talked about it this morning. My friend Craig Johnson was told about it. And if Grace kind of confirmed what Craig was being told, and whatever. Here's the story. After Solo came out, there was a conference call between London, Lucasfilm, and California-based Lucasfilm. And listening in on that conference call was Iger himself, John Lasseter, and Kevin Feige. And this is before Lasseter got railroaded out with bullshit Me Too allegations. It was a food fight. It was an absolute food fight. And people are like, people have asked me, well, can people do handle it? Rogue One was the only Star Wars movie that Kennedy era did that was decent. Okay? Hate to break it to you. And it looked to me, when I heard about this, that British Lucasfilm cared more about doing it right than American Lucasfilm, which is a bunch of woke wankers. Okay? Wokistan on steroids. And I had a theory that it just recently occurred to me that John Lasseter could have been picked to take over Lucasfilm, because if you remember, rumor was Iger couldn't find anybody to take it over because nobody, he asked Christopher Nolan, he asked a lot of people, and they're J.J. Abrams, they're like, no. The reason why is because the woke bullshit, the Pablo Hidalgos at Lucasfilm. Okay? It's a toxic environment. At least it was back then. So here's the deal. I think if John Lasseter was the first one and he was the right pick, they probably got railroaded. Kennedy set him up. She did her due diligence, got some girls to say some shit that probably wasn't true or misconstrued, and ran with it. And then off goes Lasseter. All right. Okay. Go further. We'll go into now. Then her contract is quietly renewed for 3 years. And it's been nothing but bullshit ever since. All right. And she was the one, not Disney, that announced it. Now, if it was going through, we'd hear something. Not even her own side is saying anything. Okay, now we've got this Doomcock rumor. And I'm going to put my 2 cents in. I don't think the contract has ever gotten far enough along for it to be sitting on Chapek's desk. And to be honest, I don't think he would ever have any intention of signing it anyway. Okay, he doesn't have to. First off. Second of all, without the time travel and young Indy, because if you look at the behind the scene, hey Troy, if you look at the behind the scene photographs, it really doesn't, Rod. I don't know why you think that, but if you look at the behind the scene photographs from Indy 5, none of them suggest anything except for the guys in the Greco-Roman, the Roman costumes and the Greek hoplite costumes. And I mean, it looked to me like they walked into a Sword and Sandals movie being filmed. Okay? You've got Antonio Banderas as a ship's captain. And they're filming right now in Morocco. I mean, the pictures are already coming out from Morocco. So, if there is any time travel, in an Indiana Jones movie, you don't need it. No, and Troy's right about that. It didn't hurt canon. And it kind of adds to the stakes of what's going on. I think Rogue One does. But again, the people who made it care about Star Wars. All right. The people who made the Farce Awakens, The Last Douchebag, and The Rise of Palpatard didn't care. And you could tell by the script, apathetic, or fan fiction designed to mock and hurt the fans, which is all TLJ was about. And then The Rise of Palpatine, which did nothing to fix it. Okay, I read Colin Trevorrow's script, and it didn't fix anything. It wasn't Star Wars to me. Everybody else, I think, has so been browbeaten that they liked it. But hey, you know what? I demand excellence, and it still wasn't excellent. Okay, and I'm being honest right now. There were ways to fix. I don't know, Rod. He probably wanted to know what they knew, and he probably wanted to know if they actually had the plans to the Death Star. Okay? Because there were other ships that took off too. All right? And did she have it, or did another ship get it? Okay. And also, capturing her would lead him to the rest of the rebels and others. And remember, Kenobi is still out there, and he probably put 2 and 2 together and realized that in some form or another, Kenobi is involved. Okay, that's probably a good way of looking at that. Where was I? Anyway, I can't even remember my point. The fact of the matter is, whatever is going on with Indy 5 and whatever's going on with Kennedy's contract has been kept under lock and key. Do I believe that there's a contract on Chapek's desk that he won't touch? Maybe. I don't retract. I don't need to. I think they're probably wrong. I don't really buy media stuff when they talk about Star Wars, because there's usually always an angle that if it's not anti-Lucas, it's goes against what is best for the story. And again, I told you why it works. Oh, whatever. I don't really care what they think. Okay, they're wrong. Okay, they're wrong. All right, they have every right to be wrong. They do. I don't. You know. They don't like it. What do you want? Hey, James. My thing is, I want good Star Wars, and it was good Star Wars. It was. When I ask people this, and it's usually the EU fanatics. What do you want? What do you want? Because even if they were following the EU timeline, they still wouldn't be happy because they're not doing the books straight, word for word. But you can't do it. All right, they can't do it. All right. Yeah, okay, Rod. You know, again, you're not going to be happy. All right. And I don't know what to tell you. I really, really don't. You're not going to get everything you want. Yeah, I am optimistic for Andor because the people that made Rogue One made it. All right. And I know for a fact we're going to see a lot of characters that we want to see. I wouldn't doubt we see Galen Erso, Krennic, and I loved Erso. Mads Mikkelsen is one of my favorite actors. But Rod, if you don't like everything, how is Disney going to know when they do something right? Like Mandalorian. Do you watch Mandalorian? That's fantastic. I mean, I, you gotta decide, I mean, it's like, you know, well, I can't, look, when people say, I'm never doing this again, and then you see things coming out that look pretty good, but you're so adamant, you're so stubborn, that you're not gonna give people a chance to fix what they broke, I don't know how to live like that. I don't know how to live like that. I've been through a lot of stuff in my life. When I was 19, I almost died of pneumonia. All right, I was in the hospital for 3.5 months. If anybody knows about absolute misery in life, it's me. Okay? And when I hear people say stuff like, never again, blah, 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 they won't give, Rogue One a chance, and they wrongly think it hurts the rest of the OT. It's like, what are you talking about? How? And then the reasons they give are like, no, that's not what it did. It raised the stakes, definitely, but it didn't hurt the OT. When they don't give Mandalorian a chance, when they're fanatical about the EU to the point where you can't talk to them about anything else, then I'm done. Disney needs to make money. They're not making money with Kennedy's direction, okay? Bob Chapek is a bean counter. He knows this. If we don't say we like this, but this sucked, and they can tell, I've got Disney Plus. I have not watched anything from the sequels. I've watched episodes 1 through 6 in Rogue One when I work out on my elliptical machine. I put my phone up and I'm just going along, watching. But they know by views what people are watching, what they're not watching. Okay. When you've got, tons of shows coming up, Boba Fett, which, I mean, you couldn't get a better director than Robert Rodriguez to do that. And he's an acolyte and a friend of Jon Favreau. When you've got Kenobi, which has been directed by one of Jon Favreau's acolytes, Deborah Chow. Coming, when you've got Andor, you gotta give him a chance. Because it'll never get fixed unless you do. Okay? Disney's not going away. And they're not going to sell Lucasfilm. But maybe by showing them, we like this, we don't like that, they begin to understand what they have to do to fix the problem. Because they know they have a problem, and it's Lucasfilm specific. Okay? And that is a fact. You can take that to the bank. One as the young Thrawn and Mads as Galen Erso. That would be, and here's the thing about the EU. Kennedy's first big mistake was throwing it out. You want a strong woman? There's an EU book that was published in 2015 called Honor Among Thieves. And it is an adventure Han is assigned by Leia to go on with the top rebel spy named Scarlet Hark. And they end up discovering something, and then they have to go save Leia. And they go off and do this. And it is a fantastic story. Why wouldn't you turn that into an animated show? That'd be great. Be great. Okay? But instead, that gets set to the side, and we have garbage. Well, that's another thing, too. Really, when I watched Doomcock's video, and hey, tomorrow's a hard deck. Okay? Cameron says it might be announced quietly. First off, I don't think she gets a multi-year contract. I think it would be an extension to finish Indy 5. Okay? But the fact that they pulled it and delayed it for a year is ginormous. Okay? This movie has to be good. Okay? And I'm almost wondering if Chapek looked at it, wasn't happy with what he saw, and it, again, no erasing, Indy from canon. I know a lot of people want to believe that, but that stretches credulity for me. Okay, I'm like, what are you smoking? The time travel's bad enough. That would be basically me going, wait a second. All right, what are you doing? And just looking at, Bridges' lines, are they snarky? Are they feminazi? What is she doing here? I don't think she can anymore. I think that's one of the things that she's pretty much out of the loop of Star Wars. And, again, the guys were talking about why don't they cancel The High Republic and this other book about Luke and Lando and of course the Sith book that came out. It would cost more to cancel it. They'd have to pay all those contracts they're not getting anything out of it. It would be a huge fail. Okay. So they put them out there and maybe they'll earn a little. And, eventually, the people who get the books end up selling the books to Ollie's. And they're there at Ollie's gathering gathering dust, and no one wants it. Okay. Tomorrow I was gonna go to Ollie's today, but I had to take the dog for a walk, so I couldn't. But I'm gonna go tomorrow. I gotta get my hair done tomorrow, so during Midnight's Edge, so in the morning. So I'll be probably in the chat with foils in my hair, looking like I can pick up HBO. Well, Mad, I think with the reprinting, and I bought every book that's been reprinted that I could get here, and I'm gonna have to go to Barnes and Noble, I think, maybe this week too, and see if they've got the Last Command, and the other Darth Bane book, because I want them. Here's what you do if you want good Star Wars. You gotta support good Star Wars. You have to. Mandalorian is great. And when Luke rescues everybody at the end, it basically erased the sequel trilogy in that story, because in the ST timeline, the first Padawan Luke has is Kyle Ren. Okay. In this movie, it's the same time period, 5 years after Return of the Jedi, and Luke carries away little Grogu, whose name, incidentally, is a play on George Lucas. Okay. There's messaging here that people have right over their heads. And then, of course, we've got The World Between Worlds, and I know a lot of people don't like it, the idea. And it's like, what was my point? The EU is a good place to start. Okay, the EU is there. We've got great characters. We've got the twins. We've got Anakin Solo. We've got, probably the investors. The investors always have. We've got, Mara Jade and Talon Card and all these other great characters. When I look at the EU, I think, mine it. Okay? And the people who are going to complain about cherry picking, your point is what? This is good stuff. Okay? This is worthy of Lucas. Okay? This is worthy. All right? So, and again, Chapek moving forward has to know from us what is good Star Wars and what is bad Star Wars. The fact that Hasbro is not making sequel trilogy characters is a big deal. You guys have seen or my older subscribers have seen the video from Ollie's. An entire rack all the way going down with well over 100 Rays from TLJ. They were a Walmart exclusive. Those things had never left a box till they were opened up at Ollie's. And I'm not the only person who's seen that. I've had reports of that in a lot of different places all over the United States. Is that Hasbro either sold it right to Ollie's or Walmart did. But those boxes were never opened. All right? From 2018. Then you take into consideration the story group's offerings. Stacks of comic books. From the OT, but they were written in the story group's name that, ruin Han. The comic book, the Han Solo comic book that they wrote was written by an angry, racist, Asian female. And it's the one where Leia punches him. It's not really difficult to see where people don't get a character. And, when you call them out on that, it's like, well, Marion punched Indy. Well, let's see. Marion's barmaid. And a drunk. Leia is a princess, raised in a genteel atmosphere. She doesn't have to punch anybody. Harrison Ford put it best. Back when they were filming Return of the Jedi, when he first saw Carrie in her slave Leia costume, and he's like, what is she wearing that for? She's a princess. Now, that's where you see the Harrison Ford and Han Solo merging, because there is a pedestal that Leia sits on, that she has been placed on by Han, by her brother, and by everybody else around her. She doesn't have to punch Han. All she has to do is give him a look. That's the power of her character. That's what makes her such a powerful female. Look, if you are a lady and you do it right, you can pretty much get through an issue with somebody that maybe is working for you, or your husband or your son, and just look at him. Give him a withering stare. That's what Leia would have done. And Han would have gone to that big, because it happened, okay? When you watch their characters in The Empire Strikes Back, and hey, Carlos, and you see the dynamics there. Han obviously is crazy about her. He's got her up on a pedestal, but he doesn't treat her any differently than anybody else. He's the only person out there that when he says, your worship, your worshipfulness, your highness, he's being sarcastic because she's his princess, but not in the way they look at her. Okay. He sees her as Leia. Okay. Somebody that is she's above any of their pay grades. All right. She is the person that has changed him. Okay. Brought him back to who he wanted to be when he was a kid. Well, the sarcasm is a defense mechanism. I don't understand the dynamics of what you just said, Matt. That's a defense mechanism. He doesn't want to be stuck there. He doesn't want to be in a relationship like that. And yet there he is. Okay? He could have left the rebellion. He could have gone off and hid in the Outer Rim and no one would have ever seen him. Or played the numbers, brought the money back to Jabba, been forgiven and gone off and kept smuggling. All right, he didn't. Why? Not Luke. Leia. That's why. And that's the thing. Okay. Now I'm going to tell you guys this and then I got to go. Because I got to go and buy some stuff for dinner tonight. Ghostbusters Afterlife is coming out. Yeah, you're right. Ghostbusters Afterlife is coming out in little less than a month, a month from now, today. And the complaints that The Guardian had, and Vulture had, Scotty Mendel douche had, etc., are that it erases 2016 when it should have been its sequel. I can't think of a better thing for that movie to do than erase that dumpster fire. If this movie makes as much money as I think it will, and I think it's going to top $100 million opening weekend. I really, really do. Because I'm going to tell you something. I myself have not been so excited to see a movie since The Force Awakens came out before I saw it. Okay. But I know for a fact, from the way all the right people are talking, that this movie is going to be fantastic. It is the way you do a sequel to a legacy franchise. It is a soft handoff of the proton pack. And everything points to it being, all the right people were bitching about it being nostalgia bait and all the rest. There's a way to do nostalgia and fan service without being J.J. Abrams. And Jason Reitman got it down pat, from what I can tell. I can't wait to see it. I cannot wait to see it. And if it really does erase 2016 as if it didn't happen, the rumors that Favreau and Filoni are working to erase the sequels are true. Because Chapek will see this, see all the money. Oh yeah, it is. It is. All the money that is being made by Afterlife, I'm going to go, we need to do that too with Star Wars. We need to see if we can get the original cast back to do it. And I'm going to tell you something. Harrison Ford said in an article that he would come back to Star Wars if they needed him. And Mark would too. Okay, Mark already did once. The thing about Afterlife is that it's worthy of Ivan Reitman. It's worthy of Aykroyd, Murray, and Hudson. And it's worthy of Harold Ramis. God bless his soul. Okay? And if they can do that, then there's no reason why the ST can be put in its own little pocket universe. And, the 5 dweebs that still beat off to Kyle Ron can go do it and leave the rest of us alone, which ultimately is my goal in life. Yeah, Harrison Ford already acted in a movie Favreau directed, Cowboys and Aliens, and it was not bad. I'm not a Daniel Craig fan at all. He tends to lack some personality, which I can't pinpoint, but anyway. I've been on for an hour. I'm losing my voice. Okay, so you guys, if you haven't seen Doomcock's video, go see it. I do believe that I really don't think her contract is going to be signed. I don't think Chapek is going to do it. I think whatever happened on Indy 5 has probably blown her chances. She's probably going to get accolades and all the rest of this stuff. But as far as her touching another Star Wars movie or being in power at Lucasfilm, I think it's over. That's my opinion. And tomorrow is the hard deck. And then 31st goes by and we haven't heard anything. We have 11 days. So God give us all strength. I'll see you guys around the galaxy. Go watch Doomy's video.